This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight. So delighted to be joined with Spencer Fearon here on a nice Monday evening. Yeah, how's things, mate? How are you?
I'm all right, but I would truly and utterly be remiss if I didn't mention the fact I just come back from a funeral today of a dear friend of mine, Chris Easy. And to all of the Easy family, literally my condolences to them, because one thing that we cannot get back is time. So we got to spend our time wisely, and we got to tell our loved ones that they are loved. And this guy, Chris Easy, his funeral was so packed, it was ridiculous, and you just realize that you are getting on in age as well. But it was a really really good send off that he had. So my condolences to all of the Easy family. I mean, from me, Spencer, the knowledge fair on, but yeah, seriously, well, my condolences. It was very touching.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely stretch them condolences out as well. Yeah, just touching on the weekend, Jack Catterall defeating Regis Prograis by unanimous decision. Obviously, suffering a knockdown himself, but then dropping Regis twice in round nine. Yeah, I guess what did you make of the fight and the performance from Jack Catterall?
Um, I'm gonna tell anybody that Jack Catterall style of fighting, he's a throwback fighter, right? There isn't a lot of sizzle with his fighting style, but there is a lot of steak on that plate. And Jack Catterall, and I really do like the synergy that he's got with the guys in his camp, like Nigel Travis, like um, Jamie Moore. You know what I mean? I like how how he operates. He reminds me a lot to young guys out there. Go and watch a man called Barney Ross, who was former lightweight, light welterweight, and welterweight champion of the world in the 30s. I think from like 32 all the way up to early 40s. Go and watch Barney Ross. And even though Barney Ross was an orthodox fighter, he's very similar to Barney Ross. He's very similar to a 30s and a 40s and a 50s fighter. How he fights, how he paces himself, how he puts in, how he lets off hard shots, how he's well timed. He's a very, very good fighter, and he's got an excellent boxing brain. When we look on certain things and we say, like, we class in ring generalship. What is ring generalship? Ring generalship, right, is whether you can position yourself or calculate yourself correctly to let off offensive shots. And what I've noticed is a lot of trainers out there that can train offense. So you can be offensively great, but they can't really train defense. And what Jamie Moore has done with him, he's a very good defensive fighter, right? And like I said, there's a lot of steak with him, not a lot of sizzle, but he's not boring. This is the thing. Like, he's not a boring fighter. You know what I mean? He's a really, really good fighter. And I think with the team that he's got behind him, especially Sam Jones, right? Right hand to God, Sam Jones. Big
Yeah.
him up because he came on the Fighters right yesterday. But especially with that team there, I rate what he's doing. I really do.
Yeah, with Jack, especially when it comes to what's next, what would you make, I guess, of the division he's in, obviously at 140, and him talking about potential Devin Haney fight? I know that's the name he called out. They called out Teofimo Lopez as well. I think naturally you'll sort of gravitate towards the winner of Liam Parra and Richardson Hitchens, but I guess focusing on the two names of Lopez and Haney, what do you make of those two fights for him as a stylistic matchup?
I think, I think, really and truly, Jack Catterall should have been an undisputed world champion or a world champion of some sorts, because let's be real, he beat Josh Taylor in the first fight. He
Yeah.
just got a bad decision that went against him, right?
Mhm.
Uh, he can mix with any one of anyone at 140. He can mix and probably beat him because of his style of fighting, because of how calculated he is, because uh, he's very thoughtful in his approach of fighting. And I think we are looking at, he should be world champion already, but we're actually looking at a future world champion. But I just like him as a human being as well. He's a classy guy. You know what I mean? He doesn't run away with no hype or anything else. He just wants to get on to do his job. And that's what makes him, to me, a throwback fighter. You know what I mean? All he needs to do is start wearing proper suits with ties with the dent in it, and then he's properly a black and white fighter. He's excellent. He's really good to watch.
Definitely, yeah. And just before I quickly move on, one thing I did also want to touch on was Regis Prograis after the fight, sort of hinting at potential retirement. Yeah, obviously, if it is to be the last fight for Regis, I'm sure you would sort of echo that. Even in the UK, he's put on some great fights. Obviously, one against Josh Taylor, but yeah, a real great fighter that definitely would be missed if it was his last fight.
Listen, Regis Prograis has been a really good servant of professional boxing. Do you know what I mean? And you know what I like about him more than anything? I like his honesty. You know what I mean? I like his honesty. It was like he was honest after the second after his Devin Haney coming second best to Devin Haney. He was very honest, saying like, it could crack, and he surprised me in there and stuff. He was very honest in that one. I mean, and he was saying like, yeah. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna be real with you. Like early on, to me, his legs didn't look right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His legs didn't look right. He still got very quick hands. He was still trying to be domineering with how he was pushing out his jab, and he's really pushing out his jab. But his jab was always kind of falling short, right? And that's more so because of the defensive skills of Jack Catterall. Because as the shot was coming at him, Jack would just do that little slight lean, and that little slight lean would take away the shot from hitting the target. Even though in the early rounds I had Regis Prograis up. You know what I mean? And then everything kind of changed from like he got caught with a pull counter, and the game kind of changed. And you know what? Nobody could have complained because he went down heavy when he got knocked down, right? And he twisted his ankle. He could have said, right, that's it for me. And he continued fighting the remainder of rounds to go to 12 rounds with a busted ankle and being buzzed. So all the credit in the world for him. And he's been a really good fighter. He has been a really good fighter. And he's been a two-time world champion in a way which is difficult to become a two-time world champion. So all the credit in the world to him. And nice guy as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
quickly moving on. I did want to move on to talk to the heavyweight division, which is obviously moving very quickly in the UK. But I guess one thing I sort of previously wanted to, well, not previous, but a previous heavyweight, obviously back in the UK for a meet and greet, Lennox Lewis. Obviously, I know you're involved with that as well. So yeah, excited to see Lennox back in the UK and doing a lot of meet and
Oh
greet with Gold
man,
Star.
let me tell you this, yeah.
Mhm.
Massive big up to Gold Star as well, right? I got to big them up, and I'm really gutted about this one because a young man, Dean Forbes, on the power list by JP Morgan, he was voted the most influential black person in the UK. Now, Dean Forbes, if you don't know his story, twice homeless, went from being twice homeless to becoming a multi-millionaire, owning a company and selling a company for $1 billion plus. And he's just a really down-to-earth guy and a massive boxing fan. A year ago, this time last year, I didn't know who he was. I'm going to be real with you. And he sent me a message. He sent me a message saying that he wanted to go to. No, he's having a Christmas party. He invited me to his Christmas party, and I went to his Christmas party and I checked and found out who he was. And then like we're linked to like lots of guys in his crew I know really well as well. He's just a beautiful guy. And on the 1st of November, he's having a celebration for him becoming the most influential person of color, black person in the UK. And unfortunately, I'm actually hosting Lennox Lewis on that same night in Wolverhampton. So I mean, I'm not giving up that one. Seriously, I love Dean and everything you stand for, because I know him very well. I know his family as well. He does a lot for charity. Big up the Afro-Caribbean Leukemia Trust as well. He does a lot for them. He raised, I think it was like £300,000 he raised for them recently at a dinner that he had down in the West End. So I got big up Dean Forbes. But unfortunately, you can't, the real LL. Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking Cool J now. I'm talking the real LL. You can't give that one up for Lennox Lewis. I'm honoured that Gold Star gave me the hook up for that one. But I've also got to thank Gold Star. I'm going to be real with you, right? Because we're in a sport where a lot of people are very smarmy. You know this, right? It's a smarmy sport. And some people could even regard me as smarmy, but it doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say, real knows real, right? And the fraternity know when we're talking boxing, they know. Do you know what I mean? The internet warriors, you don't know nothing. I don't care what you say, right? But the people in the fraternity, they know. And it's a great honor to say, like, for Spencer Brown, big him up. I'm always going to big up Spencer Brown because he's actually a real one. So I got big up Spencer Brown, big up Wardy as well, James Ward. And they were saying, yeah, we're giving you this night. So I was thinking, well, where's it in the ranks? And he said, no, it's the first time that Lennox has done a UK tour. He's done public speaking events, but he's never done a UK tour. So for me to head off the first one, it's an immense blessing to me. Just like a few years ago, we're going back nearly a decade, Floyd Mayweather's ever first UK tour. I did about 4 nights, so that I was the first one to go do that as well. So it's an honor to me. I know there's quite a few. I think Gareth A. Davis has got a night. I also believe that Adam Smith's got a night as well. So on the nights that I'm not, I'll be looking to go to those other venues to check out those guys, especially Adam Smith, because I think he's an excellent interviewer.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And yeah, so that's definitely something we all look forward to. But yeah, moving on from I guess the past heavyweights to the current heavyweights. Last week we did have the press conference for Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. Yeah, not much really said between the two. Usyk dressed as obviously the hitman and got him to sign that post from Tyson Fury. But yeah, all respectful between the two. I don't know if you made more of the respect between the pair.
Those men have shared 12 really hard rounds, and they were hard rounds. They shared 12 hard rounds with each other. There has to be that camaraderie of respect. There's got to be, you know? And we shall see what either man has left, because that was a hard fight.
Yeah.
Right? It was a hard fight. But the thing about when you see hard fights, usually, right, the guy that comes out second best in a hard fight usually can't muster anything else, right? And then psychologically, the guy that survived the hard fight but came out victorious, it raises them, usually. But if we flip the page back to when Evander Holyfield fought Riddick Bowe in the first fight, it was a hard fight and Riddick Bowe got the win, and it was a very hard fight, right? But then in the rematch, through adaptation of style and changing of style, that's when Evander Holyfield then got linked with Emmanuel Stewart. He changed his whole game plan and he beat Riddick Bowe on points. And famously, you had the fan man that came into the ring that stopped the from fighting as well. But regardless of that, if Tyson Fury can change his style a little bit, right, then there's a possibility of Tyson Fury coming out victorious relatively easy. But you have to ask yourself, those 3 fights with Deontay Wilder, maybe he's left piece of him inside of those 3 fights with Deontay Wilder, which now, when it's time to dig deep, he's done it so many times before, but he hasn't done it against somebody who's technically on par with him. And there lies the difference, you know? It's a great fight, but I think I had Mark Prince on the show yesterday, right? The former light heavyweight, right? World title challenger. Mark Prince was saying, are we forgetting that starting off, if Fury wasn't mucking around, he was winning those fights comfortably and relatively easy. And it was only from like round 5 onwards, then Usyk started to get his foot in it. But if you watch the fight carefully, Usyk was planning to hit Tyson Fury hard with the left-hand power shot for his backhand, because he was setting up from the beginning, because he was jabbing Tyson Fury's body, right? He was jabbing the body, and he does that little side-to-side motion, right? He was doing a side-to-side motion, and he'd flick his jab out, and as he's flicking his jab out, he's taking his head onto the power shot of Tyson Fury. But as he's doing that, he's letting go a big left hand to the body, but then he was only doing that so he could get the range, so he could come over the top to hit him with a hard shot. So when you see great fighters who age, who are getting older, what they do, they adapt their style of fighting. Tyson Fury, I believe, is very multifaceted, and I believe that he has it in him to adapt his style, right? No one say, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything different." You're going to have to do certain things different, because if you're not going to do anything different, then you're going to get the same result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the truth. You know what I mean? Because nothing changes if you don't change, right? So I believe if Tyson Fury changes things and has the desire to change things, right? But you can't take nothing away from Usyk. Usyk's a G. We just got to be real. We are looking at something incredibly special, because he's a smaller guy going in. He was a smaller guy against Anthony Joshua. He was a smaller guy going in against Daniel Dubois. He was a smaller guy going in with Tyson Fury. And he finds a way to win.
Yeah. So it was a question I was going to ask you there, and you obviously mentioned about the adaptations, and you think sort of even with the damage that Fury's taken at this point in his career as well, you still think he has the capacity to make those adaptations, including with all the damage that people would support, suppose that he's had along his career.
Yeah, because this is the next thing. Tyson Fury's got a lot of people thought. You see when Tyson Fury says, "Oh, I'm a fighting man." Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to turn around. Yeah, I get it. But no, not only that, Tyson Fury's actually a boxing man. He has a very, very good IQ, right? He has very good IQ, right? And in order for Tyson Fury to win this fight, it's not even like to go, "Oh, I'm going to fight and I could box ugly to win." No, I just think like if he is a little bit more tunnel visioned, right, and a little bit more focused, then I think he could come out victorious. But Usyk is going to be the favorite in the fight, because he's got to be the favorite. Usyk is a special human being, and the thing with what Usyk does really good. And Tony Bellew told me this. Tony Bellew told me this a few days before the fight. And I was on the phone to Tony. I said, "Yeah." So, and he said, "Spence, I'm telling you now, the thing about Oleksandr Usyk, he mentally drains you, because he's always setting up traps."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's the back of that, then you're going to have to say, like, well, Usyk's going to come out victorious. But the reason why I'm saying you can't write off Tyson Fury is because from once he's signed it and he turns up, and Tyson Fury is a problem, because he was a problem. Go watch. I think it was round 4 when he kind of stuck it on Usyk. Do you know what I mean? But then he was kind of mucking around with it. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying like you stuck it on him and use fright to stick it on him, right? But I think on this now, he's got to have that kind of more tunnel vision and more focus. And I think he's going to have that more this time around. But like I said, it's Oleksandr Usyk you're going up against, and he ain't no joke.
Yeah, I was going to say that, touching on to Usyk there, like as you see in it, even in the AJ rematch, where you could say AJ stepped up his game. Do you think we could see the same where Usyk just sort of brings it to another level once again?
I hope not. I could be
Yeah,
real.
yeah,
No, seriously, I hope not. But you know, maybe Oleksandr Usyk's just got his number. Maybe Oleksandr Usyk's got the number of many people. You know what I mean? In his boxing game, Oleksandr Usyk's got the number of many, many guys. He's got more numbers than I got in my black book. So he's one of them kind of guys. He's trouble. He is trouble.
yeah, definitely. Just quickly moving on as well with the heavyweight division. Obviously, Anthony Joshua is future is a little bit up in the air. It looked like the Dubois rematch was sort of next for him. It still looks like the Dubois rematch could be there for him, but I think Eddie Hearn hinted that we're not going to see that as quick as February. Yeah, I guess from your point of view, do you think it's a sort of a smart move to go back into the Dubois rematch? Let's say maybe not February time, but
But why
May
shouldn't
time.
it be? You have to ask yourself this, yeah? Why should it be? One second.
Yeah, so just picking it back up, obviously, why from what you were saying about the Dubois Regis rematch in May supposedly. Good.
Um, to be real, I'm gonna be honest. I think Anthony Joshua himself wants the Dubois rematch.
Yeah.
I don't think the team around him want a straight rematch.
Yeah.
Right? I think Anthony Joshua's had a sublime. He's been a superb career. Do you know what I mean? Not only for accomplishment, but financially as well. He's been excellent. He's been the pin-up boy. He's been that wholesome human being. He's been a role model. Let's call it as it is, right? I don't think, me personally, I would want him to have a straight rematch, right? That's me personally. But if I'm looking at it as a business, they're thinking, well, you know what? Let's not mess up the bag with the Tyson Fury fight, because that's still, even if Tyson Fury was to lose, right? There's still potential, and that's still a whopper. That's still massive, right? Let's look at maybe even a Wilder fight that still do big numbers in Riyadh because of the two names, because of the names, right? Irrespective of what they've had in the past. So, but me personally, I would like to see Anthony Joshua. You've got enough money, right? Take a rematch with Daniel Dubois. I would love to see that. But it's down to him as an individual if he wants to turn up. And I think if he took to turn up, Anthony Joshua has the chance of coming out victorious. But the thing that you've got to contend with now is the confidence that Daniel Dubois has taken from that win. And that's got to be nuts confidence right now. And he's riding on some high wave cloud that, knowing his team around him, they're going to keep him focused. So it's going to keep this totally 100. They are going to keep him focused. So I think it's whether Anthony Joshua wants it. And if he wants it, then I think that he could come out victorious. And like I've said on many times, when things go bad and you think you're being buried, it's down to you whether you're being buried or you're being planted. So if he's being planted, then I want to see you sprout, and let's see what fruits that you bear. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Anthony Joshua to take a direct rematch. But if he wasn't and said, well, I'm going to take the Wilder fight, could anybody really complain? We couldn't. If you tell him, I say, I'm going to take the Fury fight, could anybody really complain? We couldn't.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Spencer, I'll leave it there, but absolutely, mate. Always a pleasure to be speaking. Always do appreciate it. Any guess last words before we do sign off?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Just keep up the good work that you do with boxing and
Thank you, man.
social. You know what I mean? I enjoy what you're doing. So just keep on keeping on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's all I've got. On keeping on.
absolutely.
And on that note, I'm gonna say to everyone again, right? If you have somebody who is dear to you that you feel a special affinity to, is nothing for you to pick up the phone and tell them that you appreciate them, right? Because you know what? When they're dead, you will not have that opportunity. You know what I mean? It's like, I went to a funeral today, like I said, my mate Chris Easy, and it was ram-packed. It was ridiculously packed, right? And I'm not causing any fault. I'm saying in general, do we really go and check on people? Do we really check on how people are? Do we turn around and say to people, like, you know what I mean? Like, how you doing? And straight away, yeah, I'm fine. It's lies. A lot of us ain't doing fine. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily also about people's mental health or their mental well-being. It's also to do with their mental wealth and how enriched they are mentally. And if you could do something to kind of raise up people's spirits mentally, then you should do it. You know what I mean? It's nothing to pick up a phone. You know what I mean? This year alone, I've been to 8 funerals. This is my 8th funeral of this year. People who I've known really well, who've chipped out, and they're all around my age group. It's not like, oh, I've gone to see someone's mum or dad pass away. No, they're people my age group. You know what I mean? I still believe that I'm a young man. Well, young, I just look good for my age. But I'm just being real. So I'm saying, like, check on people and show people love. And that's what I've got to say. Keep on doing your thing, H. All right? Love, my bro.
Appreciate it, Spencer. Always a pleasure, mate. Top man. Thank you.
Take care.